Writing an effective answer is both an art and a skill, one that every student of literature must master to communicate their thoughts with clarity and precision. It is not about knowing the text or having strong opinions. It is about structuring those ideas in a way that resonates with your readers. Whether you are preparing for an exam, drafting an essay, or contributing to academic discourse, the ability to write persuasively and purposefully can set you apart. Hi, I'm Monica. I'm a junior research fellow at the Department of English Studies, Central University of Jharkhand. In this masterclass, I will take you through the essentials of answer writing for literature. While I do not claim to be an expert in answer writing, writing has always been a strength of mine. Throughout my academic life, I have tried to improve my writing skills. I have figured many things out and I thought of making this video because I have seen many literature students struggling with answer writing. From understanding the questions to writing compelling arguments, I'm going to break down the process involved in answer writing into manageable steps. You will learn how to structure your ideas, use language effectively, and avoid common mistakes. Most importantly, you will discover how to turn writing into an act of intellectual exercise, one that allows you to express your voice while engaging deeply with the works you analyze. Before you even start writing your answer, it is very important to truly understand what the question is asking. This might sound simple, but missing a key part of the question is one of the most common mistakes students make. So how do you avoid that? Let me break it down for you. When you first look at your assignment or exam question, take a moment to read the question carefully. Don't just read it once, but a couple of times. Try to understand what is being asked. Is the question asking for an analysis? Is it asking for comparison? Or maybe an evaluation? Each type of question requires a slightly different approach, so it is important to pinpoint exactly what is expected in your answer. The next step is to focus on your thesis statement. Think of the thesis as the heart of your answer. It is the central idea that your entire paper or answer will revolve around. It is a clear and concise statement of the position you will defend in your essay. Usually, this is expressed in 1 or 2 sentences, and it is important because it tells the reader where your argument is headed. Your thesis should be arguable. That means a thoughtful reader could disagree with it. This is key because if everyone would automatically agree with your claim, then there is no need for you to write the essay in the first place. A strong thesis invites debate, and this is where your careful analysis comes in. You will need to support your thesis with evidence, whether it is textual analysis, data, or any other type of source material. Now, not all essays are asking for the same kind of claim. Some might ask for an analytical claim where you are interpreting facts or analyzing sources. Other times, you might be making a normative claim which is more about values and what should be the case rather than what is. Here are a few quick pointers to help you craft a solid thesis. Vague, overly broad thesis will not do you any good. Originality counts. Try to move beyond what was discussed in class or in other critiques' work. Your insight matters. Support it with evidence. Whether it is from the text or research, you need to back up your claim. Most importantly, your thesis should answer the question. This seems pretty obvious, but it is easy to go off the track. On the flip side, here are signs of a weak thesis. It just summarizes or states a fact. It is too broad or makes a generalization. It repeats class discussions or lacks originality. It contradicts or is not related to the text. It does not answer the prompt or only partially addresses it. By ensuring your thesis checks all the right boxes, you set a strong foundation for the rest of your essay. Understanding the question is the first step towards crafting a well-structured, thoughtful answer. Now that you have understood the question, it is time to focus on planning your answer. This step is just as important as writing itself. Good planning is like mapping a journey. It will help you navigate through complex ideas, make connections, and arrive at insights that resonate with your readers. First up, you should consider the depth of your topic. Often you will find that a seemingly straightforward question has layers of complexity. Instead of rushing to tidy up your argument, take the time to explore the nuances. How does the text really work? What are the author's thought processes? How does evidence link together? And what about the limitations of existing interpretations? Your job is to uncover these subtleties and build an insightful response. Show the logic behind your ideas and how they interrelate. This is not about making things overly complicated, but about presenting a thoughtful, layered understanding. The clearer you are in expressing these relationships, the more compelling your essay becomes. But you do not have to work in isolation. You can share your ideas with a classmate, an acquaintance, or even your professor. Ask them to challenge your argument, point out gaps, or suggest counter arguments. This back and forth not only sharpens your thinking but also ensures you are anticipating questions from potential readers. That is why it is so important to go to classes after doing at least a surface level research. Your next step is to remember your audience. In academic writing, your professor is likely familiar with the text. This means you do not need to summarize the plot, so focus on contextualizing evidence to support your argument instead. Every piece of information you include should serve a purpose in proving your thesis. Most importantly, you need to approach essay writing as more than just creating a finished product. It is a process of discovery. Writing gives you the chance to wrestle with big ideas, challenge assumptions, and deepen your understanding of the course material. In doing so, you will often find yourself learning more than you initially anticipated. Finally, you need to embrace curiosity. Your goal should not merely be to show what you already know, but to explore questions that genuinely intrigue you. When you write from a place of curiosity, your passion will come through. This will make your essay not only insightful but engaging to read. With your plan in place, you will be ready to tackle the next step, which is crafting your answers with clarity and confidence. Once you have understood the question and planned your ideas, the next step is to structure your answer effectively. An impactful answer depends on a strong structure. Without a compelling introduction, well-developed body paragraphs, and a thoughtful conclusion, even the most unique ideas risk falling flat. Here is how you can create a cohesive structure that ensures your argument resonates with your readers. The introduction is the first impression of your answer. Its job is to provide context, introduce your argument, and set the stage for what is to come. A good introduction is never generic. It should be specific, engaging, and to the point. Start by giving your reader just enough context to understand your argument. This might include the title and author of the text or key details about the event or topic you are writing about. Do not turn your introduction into a summary. Instead, you need to focus on details that directly supports your thesis. For example, consider this opening for an analysis of The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot. In The Wasteland, T.S. Eliot presents a fragmented world filled with existential despair. It is a world where individuals struggle to find meaning in the chaos of modern life. The poem is set against the backdrop of post-World War I disillusionment. It was a time when traditional structures of society, religion, and identity seemed to disintegrate. Throughout the text, Eliot intertwines mythological references, personal reflections, and cultural fragments to depict a modern reality that feels disconnected and hollow. Eliot juxtaposes figures like the Fisher King, whose land suffers from sterility, with the disjointed voices of modern urban life. This juxtaposes a sense of cultural and personal fragmentation. The clash between the past sense of continuity and the present's fragmentation raises a central question. Can meaning or redemption be found in the modern world, or is it irreparably broken? Eliot's depiction of a fractured human condition and his search for spiritual and existential answers make The Wasteland a profound commentary on the disillusionment of the modern age. This example shows some key components of an effective introduction. First is a specific opening sentence. Avoid vague general lines such as throughout history, T.S. Eliot is one of the greatest authors. Instead, begin with a focused statement that leads directly into your argument. After that, go for strategic contextual information. Provide details that are essential to understanding your thesis without overloading the reader. Finally, define any key terms that might require defining. If your argument hinges on specific concepts or jargon, define them early to avoid confusion. Most importantly, end your introduction with a strong thesis statement. This is the position you will defend throughout your essay. Always remember that a good thesis answers two questions. What are you arguing about? How will you prove it? Let me explain it to you with an example. If you are given a question on the contemporary relevance of T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland, this could be one of the ways in which you could begin. T.S. Eliot's depiction of existential despair, the fractured nature of modern life, and the enduring quest for meaning in works such as The Wasteland retains a striking relevance even today. These themes resonate deeply with the uncertainties and complexities that continue to shape the contemporary world. In the example, you will see that the opening paragraph is not just an argument, but it also gives you a roadmap for the essay. After the introduction, you have the body paragraphs. These are where you will develop your argument. Each paragraph of your body should focus on one key idea or piece of evidence that supports your thesis. Of course, this is not a rule, but you can start here. Begin every paragraph with a topic sentence that introduces the paragraph's main point. Think of the topic sentence as the glue holding the paragraph together. For example, if we continue with the same question on Eliot, one of its body paragraphs could be, Eliot explores the theme of existential despair in The Wasteland. This depiction remains an essential element of his enduring relevance to the modern era. Written in the aftermath of World War I, the poem reflects the fragmentation and disillusionment of society, a theme that continues to resonate with readers today. In lines such as I can connect nothing with nothing, Eliot encapsulates the pervasive sense of alienation and loss of meaning in an increasingly disconnected world. This despair is not confined to his time but extends to contemporary audiences who face ever-evolving social, political, and personal uncertainties. This paragraph shows topic sentences, supporting evidence, and connection to the thesis. Every sentence advances the overall argument. Each paragraph should also address the why or how of your thesis, not just the what. For example, instead of simply describing the wasteland as fragmented, explore how Eliot uses the fragmentation to mirror the disjointed nature of modern society. From here, elaborate on your point with specific evidence. Quote lines from the text, explain their significance, and connect them to the thesis. You do not just have to describe the content, but you need to analyze it. Show the reader how your evidence is building your argument. To keep your answer flowing smoothly, you will need to use transitional phrases to link ideas. For instance, to add complementary ideas, use words like additionally, furthermore, and similarly. To highlight contrasts, you can use however, on the other hand, or yet. To show cause and effect, use therefore, consequently, or thus. End each of your paragraph by tying it back to your thesis. This reinforces your argument and prepares the reader for the next point. The last part of your answer is the conclusion. Conclusion ties everything together. Begin by restating your thesis but avoid repeating it word by word. You can instead reflect on how your evidence supports your argument. A good conclusion will not just summarize, it will answer the question, why does this argument matter? Highlight the broader implications of your essay. For example, if your essay is about the themes of the wasteland, you could discuss how Eliot's depiction of fragmentation and despair remains relevant in today's fractured world. Try to end with a memorable final sentence. It could be a provocative question, a powerful quotation, or an insight that leaves your reader thinking. Avoid overworked phrases like in conclusion and don't exaggerate your claims. Keep it balanced and impactful. Take the key ideas discussed and reflect on their broader implications. For instance, the fragmentation and despair in the wasteland serve as symbolic reflections of the brokenness and disconnection of the modern world. Eliot's use of fragmented voices, mythological references, and cultural disillusionment highlights the spiritual and existential crisis faced by individuals in the aftermath of First World War. Through this complex portrayal, Eliot presents a world in which hope for renewal is intertwined with despair, raising essential questions about the possibility of redemption in a world seemingly bereft of coherent meaning. By structuring your answer with a strong introduction, well-developed body paragraphs, and a thoughtful conclusion, you ensure your essay or answer is coherent, persuasive, and a pleasure to read. Stay specific, stay logical, and always connect back to your thesis. Your readers will thank you for it. When I started writing, I had a peculiar habit of showing off my vocabulary. I would scour the dictionary, learn big and impressive words, and then use them in my answers. At the time, I thought that using complex language would make my work stand out. But the more I read, the more I realized that the authors I admired most did not rely on complicated words. They used simple and precise language to explain complex ideas. I admired their clarity the most, and gradually I let go of the urge to impress and embraced simplicity simplicity in my writing. Now, I believe that the true art of writing lies in making your point accessible to any reader regardless of their familiarity with the subject. Simple, clear language not only ensures your message is understood, but it also reflects your confidence in the ideas you are presenting. Another essential aspect of language is the consistent and purposeful use of verb tense. An inconsistent tense can confuse the reader and disrupt the flow of your argument. So, how do you choose the right tense? Focus on consistency, simplicity, and clarity. Once you select a tense, stick with it throughout your writing. If you are using the past tense to describe historical events, do not shift to the present unless absolutely necessary. This consistency gives your writing a smooth and cohesive feel. The simpler your choice of tense, the easier it is for the readers to follow. For most academic writing, either the simple present or the simple past works best. Above all, choose the tense that best conveys your ideas. Use the present tense for describing ideas and arguments that are still relevant today. For example, when analyzing a text, present tense works well because the text content continues to exist in the present. On the other hand, use the past tense for describing events or conditions that occurred in the past and no longer hold true. For instance, in present tense, you would write, Eliot depicts a fractured world in the wasteland. And in past tense, you would write something like World War I devastated societies and led to widespread disillusionment. Another important suggestion is to avoid using first-person pronouns in your answer or any academic writing. By keeping these principles in mind, you ensure that your writing is not only grammatically sound but also engaging and easy to read. Ultimately, great writing does not require a dictionary in your hand. It requires thoughtfulness, precision, and an understanding of your audience. Language and tone should serve your ideas, not overshadow them. As you write, aim to communicate and not to complicate. The simpler and clearer your writing, the stronger its impact will be. Academic writing requires precision, clarity, and compliance to specific standards. While writing answers, even well-prepared students can fall into common pitfalls that reduce the quality of their work. Here are some key mistakes to avoid and strategies to maintain the integrity and effectiveness of your writing. Understanding and adhering to academic honesty is non-negotiable. Intellectual work thrives on building upon the ideas of others, but this must always be done with proper acknowledgement. Failing to credit sources not only undermines your credibility but also constitutes plagiarism, which is a serious academic offense. Do not make things up in your answers. Whenever you incorporate ideas, arguments, or even phrasing from other writers, ensure you clearly distinguish between their contributions and your own. Then there is the topic of a proper citation. A proper citation will direct readers to its relevant sources. It clarifies the boundary between your voice and that of the others and honors the intellectual effort of the original creators. While citations are very crucial, oversighting is another common issue. Students sometimes cite general knowledge unnecessarily or rely too heavily on source material. To avoid this, you can reserve citations for specific ideas, theories, or data that are not common knowledge and strive for balance. Your analysis and interpretation should take center stage. Think of sources as tools that support your argument, not as the argument itself. Then there is the problem of which citation format to use. While MLA format currently in its 9th edition is quite common, others such as APA or the Chicago Manual may be required depending on your field. To avoid mistakes, you need to download official style guides or reliable resources for the relevant citation format and double check key sections such as how to cite books, articles, and digital sources. Correct citation is not just about technicalities, it reflects your professionalism and attention to detail. For exams, you can skip in-text citation of page numbers as I know it is not possible to remember. Just make sure that you remember which books or author your citations are from. Finally, you have to revise your answers. Revision is an important part of academic writing, but it is often overlooked. Many students equate revision with proofreading for grammatical errors, but it is much more than that. Revision involves evaluating the argument, refining the focus, and developing nuances and styles. Ensure that your paper presents a coherent and persuasive argument. Check that your ideas flow logically and build upon one another. Also check if your thesis is clear and if the paragraphs align with and support your main argument. Examine your tone, vocabulary, and sentence structure to ensure clarity and some sort of sophistication in your answer. Like I have been telling you, even the best ideas can fall flat if they are not presented in a logical sequence. The first step of revision should involve checking the structure of your work. Does each section build upon the previous one? Are transitions smooth and natural? Is there a clear connection between your thesis, evidence, and analysis? By addressing these elements, you will strengthen the overall impact of your writing. Avoiding these common mistakes ensures that your work not only meets academic standards but also communicates your ideas effectively. Writing is as much about process as it is about content. Take the time to understand citation norms, balance your use of sources, and revise thoroughly. When you do, your work will reflect the depth, originality, and integrity expected of academic writing. Always remember that the tools and techniques I have discussed in this video are just starting points and not rigid rules. Writing is, above all, a process. It is a medium through which you can explore your own thoughts, experimentation, and growth. Your introduction may not always be the first thing you write, and your thesis may evolve as you engage more deeply with your material. This fluidity is not a flaw but a testament to the dynamic nature of intellectual work. Approach writing as an opportunity to explore and refine your ideas. Let the structure guide you, but do not ever let it confine you. Each essay or answer you write is a unique expression of your understanding and interpretation that is shaped by your perspective. By embracing this journey of writing, you will not only improve as a writer, but also deepen your appreciation for the literature you are engaging with. Writing is not just about getting the answer right. In fact, I firmly believe that in questions from literature, it is not about what is the right answer or what is wrong. It is about the joy of discovering your voice and sharing it with the world. In order to truly learn, keep practicing, stay curious, and let your writing reflect the depth of your thought and the passion of your inquiry. I'll see you super soon in the next video. Till then, keep reading and keep learning.